Okay, good evening. Now in this video we are going to establish the fact that both demand and supply of agricultural goods are inelastic, and we are going to discuss the factors that determine the elasticity of demand and supply, and we are going to show why those factors are true for all agricultural products, right? So first, let us look at one by one. Let's look at the factors that will make demand for a product inelastic. What do you mean by inelastic demand? Inelastic demand means that whenever there is a change in price, the quantity demanded will change, but it will not be very sensitive to a change in price, right? For example, if the price of a product rises and the demand is price inelastic, then in response to a large increase in price, there's going to be a very small decrease in quantity demanded. Now, why do we respond less to a change in price? Why aren't we able to cut the demand for a product by a huge margin when the price rises? Now, there are certain factors. Number one, when the product is a necessity, all right, when the product is a necessity, its demand will be rather price inelastic, which means that people will not respond a lot to a change in its price. Quantity demanded will not respond a lot to a change in price. Now, if the product is a necessity, if we are talking about, let's say, bread, and the price of bread rises, now that is a necessity, so the quantity demanded of bread cannot fall a lot, because the quantity that I am demanding, I will continue to demand, round about the same quantity. I'll cut the quantity a bit because that's the law of demand, but I will not be able to cut my quantity demanded a lot, so the proportion of fall in quantity demanded will be less and the proportion of increase in price will be high. That's because the product is a necessity, I cannot do without it. Second, if the product is a small proportion of your income, all right, if the product is a small proportion of your income, then its demand will be price inelastic. What do I mean by that? Let's say take a box of matchsticks, all right. Now it costs 10 rupees today, all right. 10 rupees is a very small proportion of people's income. Tomorrow, let's say if its price rises to 30 rupees, okay, that's a 3 times increase. But are we going to cut the quantity demanded of matchsticks a lot? No, because 10 rupees is a small proportion of our income and 30 rupees will also be a small proportion of our monthly income. So even though it's a 3 times greater increase in price, our quantity demanded will not be affected. We will not feel the pinch of the increase in price. So if the product is a small proportion of the income, we will not be able to we will not cut our quantity demanded a lot in response to a increase in price. Then if the product does not have close substitutes, right, if the product does not have close substitutes, what's going to happen? We will not be able to find other products that will perform the same function. So we will not be able to cut our quantity demanded by a lot in response to an increase in price. So these are some of the factors that will make the demand of a product rather inelastic if it's a necessity. Now look at the agricultural good. Is the agricultural good a necessity? Yes, it is. Most agricultural products are necessities. If you're consuming bread, if you're consuming rice, if you're consuming onions, they are important to the food that we are making. They are like necessities. Alright, are they a small proportion of our income? Yes, agricultural products are a rather small proportion of income compared to some other products. They are. So again, the demand will be inelastic. Do they have close substitutes? What's the substitute of onion? Nothing. There's no substitute to onion. What's the substitute to for let's say tomatoes or potatoes? Nothing. Alright, so they do not have close substitutes. Because they don't have close substitutes, agricultural goods have inelastic demand. Alright, now look at the supply side. What causes supply to become inelastic, let's say. All right. Now supply will be inelastic if we are operating close to full capacity. All right, because the law of supply says that when the price of the product rises, we want to supply more, right? But if there is no capacity to produce, how will we supply more? We can't do that. Okay, so and these price increases happen in the short run, and we have to increase supply in the short run. All agricultural producers try to use their land to maximum capacity, right? So normally there is very little spare capacity in the agricultural side. So that's the first thing. Second, even if you don't have capacity, if you have stock, if you have goods in your warehouse, if you can stock your goods, then you will be able to increase the supply of your good in response to a change in price. But can agricultural goods be stored for long periods of time? No. So private producers will not have long-term stores of agricultural goods, and they will not be able to stock the goods and supply, right? 3, can we increase the production, the speed of production of agricultural goods in response to a change in price? No. This is not like a manufactured good. It depends on natural conditions. Okay, rice takes a certain amount of time to grow and to harvest. We cannot speed the production of rice. We cannot speed it up. Okay, so because we cannot speed up the production as in manufactured goods, we will not be able to take advantage of an increase in price. The price may increase, but the supply cannot increase at the same speed. So the supply will be inelastic. The response of supply to an increase in price will be minimal. All right, what else? Substitutability of factors of production. My factor of production is labor, and they are employed in the production of tomatoes, and the price of potatoes goes up in the market, right? So can I ask my labor to start producing potatoes overnight? That is highly unlikely. Okay, the land may also not support. There are certain areas where you can grow a certain crop. There are other areas where you cannot grow. There are certain pieces of earth where you can grow certain agricultural products. Like you cannot produce walnuts, let's say in areas that are very swampy, areas which are very wet. You can grow rice very well there, but not let's say walnuts. So the land will not support. The factor of production is not suitable to every kind of product. So if the price of walnut goes up and you are in a swampy area, the land cannot be used for the production of walnuts. So substitutability of factor of production is not there. Finally, in the long run, supply can become elastic. So, and we are using only short-term analysis because these prices are rising only in the short term. In the long run, maybe, but in the short term, factors of production cannot be increased, so this is, we will see that all the factors that affect elasticity of supply and make the supply of a product inelastic are present in the agricultural market. So in the agricultural market, all factors that make demand inelastic are present. They are necessities. They are a small proportion of the income. They don't have substitutes. That makes demand inelastic. And all the factors that make supply inelastic are also there. Production is happening near capacity. There is little possibility of stocking the product. The production of the product cannot be increased overnight, and the factors of production are usually not substitutable. So that proves that both demand and supply of agricultural products is inelastic. All right, I hope you've understood this, and in the next video I'll be discussing more concepts.